All right, guys. Good. Well, this is kind of almost in the middle of the night. Um, we're getting big news, some of everywhere. So I'm making this video. Welcome back to another episode. This video is going to be mainly me covering all 20 signings that have happened so far. Make sure that you are liking and subscribing to the channel as well as in the morning. I will have big news if there is big news with Paul George, Klay Thompson, and others as well. We did have one of the major signings go down today that we're going to talk about in KCP as he signed with the Orlando Magic on a 3-year, $66 million deal, along with a shocking one with Derrick Jones Jr. not returning to the Mavs, and he is going to the Los Angeles Clippers on a 3-year, I believe, $30 million deal. We're going to break that down as well. So we're going to get right into it. Now, happy free agency, everybody. I know we've been waiting patiently for this all week since the draft. And prior to free agency, we didn't get any trades. We thought that Jeremy Grant would be traded to the Lakers by now. Um, you never know. You never know. They could be working right now. They could be on the phones. That's the life of a general manager in the NBA and other various sports as well that have general managers. The first signing that happened was we're going to kick this off. Alex Len re-signed with the Sacramento Kings on a 1-year, $3.3 million deal. Now this was subsequent to free agency starting. This was basically the null and void moratorium period, basically meaning that it was moratorium before moratorium. Now with the new CBA rollout, that players can talk to their own teams now, and teams can talk to their own players about re-signing contracts. That's why we saw Pascal Siakam re-sign, Malik Monk, and all others like that as well. And this deal, it's more of a insurance deal, just in case they don't get anybody on the market. They are looking for a big man right now. You talk about a guy that's been serviceable in the league. Yes, he was a top 5 pick in 2013, excuse me. He was definitely a highly touted prospect coming out of Maryland. And has it worked out? Not as much, but he has carved out a pretty good NBA career being an NBA journeyman and a veteran. Somebody that can stretch the floor for you. Once again, like I said, insurance. Just in case you don't get anybody else on the free agent market, maybe a Jeremy Grant trade can come upon you. We do know that the Kings and the Pelicans were in talks today of a Brandon Ingram trade that could go down anytime throughout the night. They could go down tomorrow. We'll have to see what Sacramento does, but they have to be willing if they want to keep De'Aaron Fox around, who did not sign an extension when they offered him extension a week ago. So that's very interesting. Obi Toppin stays with the Pacers on a 4-year, $60 million deal. Now, this is a very friendly contract for the team. This is a very tradable contract for the team as well. Obi Toppin, a guy that came from New York. Everybody thought, okay, he's probably done. He's not going to get any minutes there, especially with Jarris Walker being the pick. It's reverse opposite now. Jarris Walker is now the third power forward on the roster, and Obi Toppin has had a great resurgence in Indiana. A guy that was great from beyond the arc, about 35, somewhere around there percent from deep. And funny enough, he definitely is a guy that you want to watch out for on the trade market. Um, just in case another star comes through. I don't know who they want to get now. I mean, you have Halliburton, Pascal, Miles Turner. I think you can win around that core. Just put pieces around them. I know it's going to be tough in the Eastern Conference now with the Mikal Bridges trade. Possibly Brandon Ingram coming to the Sixers if Paul George is not fall back. But Paul George is looking like he will be a Sixer sometime tonight or in the morning. Um, so you got to think about this if you're Indiana, right? You brought back Obi Toppin. Now, what is Jarris Walker's future? I do have an article out right now. It has not come out yet, of course. I scheduled it for a time to be dropped later on in the morning, probably around 7 a.m. Um, it's a Jarris Walker to the Atlanta Hawks article, and me being a Hawks fan, I would love Jarris Walker on that team with Zachary Ricochet, Jalen Johnson, and potentially Trae Young if he's still there. That gives you 3 nice building blocks or a core 4 of Trae Young, Jalen Johnson, Zachary Ricochet, and Jarris Walker. That's fine by me. Max Christie. re-signed with the Lakers on a 4-year, $32 million deal with a player option attached to it. Christie remains a big part of the Lakers rotation. You talk about a guy that just came in, right? In the second round, nobody thought that he was really going to be anything. I mean, I believe in Max Christie. I thought he had immense potential coming out of Michigan State with Tom Izzo and how he coached them. You talk about a guy, once again, that can, on any given night right now, can give you 10 points, can give you maximum 5 rebounds, can give you at max 4 assists. He can pass the ball. He got better this year, playmaking, got more minutes out there. So this is the steal of a contract if you are the Lakers, and especially if he on the third or fourth year of that contract can become an all-star, and he'll be what, 23? Because he's only 2021, so he'll be 23 or 24 on the back end of that contract when it's time for him to re-up again. And just to see how he has progressed, he can definitely be an all-star in this league. It's post LeBron era. He can definitely be an all-star for sure. And will help the Lakers this year and try to get a championship. I don't know if they're going to win one, but hey, we will see. Chris Paul got waived by the Golden State Warriors today, guys. So I do want to talk about Chris Paul getting waived by Golden State. It was more of a stretch thing than just a clear-cut wave. Chris Paul did not work out in Golden State like we thought. Like majority of us thought that he would, right? I would have preferred them kept Jordan Poole coming off of a championship season. Yes, it did not go well for you in 2023, but I mean, yes, it was fun at the time to think about, okay, the death lineup, but Jordan Poole being what, 22, 23, and that contract was just about to kick in, and you had to pay Draymond, doesn't really look good now. I'd rather have Jordan Poole than Draymond in terms of contract length. I understand that Draymond is more valuable to the franchise than Jordan Poole, but Jordan Poole would have helped you at least get to the playoffs. I mean, I feel like he would have been better on the Warriors than the Wizards, in my opinion. And now Chris Paul actually signed with San Antonio to join it with Wemby and Vassell and Sohan. Those guys are going to be so deadly up there. And Stephon Castle, their fourth pick this year. Chris Paul could be coming off the bench. I don't think he starts over Stephon Castle. We'll see. James Harden decided to go back to LA, unlike Paul George. He decided to go back to LA on a 2-year, $70 million deal. So he took a pay cut. He took a pay cut expecting Paul George to probably come back or them to get somebody else. And they did get somebody else as well. They did get somebody else. They got Derrick Jones Jr. on a 2-year, $30 million deal. I thought that was great. You talk about a guy that was an important piece of Dallas playoff run this year and went all the way to the NBA Finals just to lose to the Boston Celtics. It's okay. Luka, at least you got there, right? We hope Trae Young's going to get there someday as well. But I like this trade I like the signing, for the Los Angeles Clippers. You talk about a guy that can easily be now probably your fourth option. I mean, you're not bringing back Russell Westbrook if you're the Clippers. You're actively working on trying to trade him right now per Chris Haynes and per the Athletic Stadium and stuff like that. Derrick Jones Jr. now you have you have Kawhi Leonard now. You have Derrick Jones Jr. I'm not saying that Derrick Jones Jr. is Paul George, but he is definitely the Paul George replacement in terms of what he brings on defense, right? He can't score like Paul George, but what he can do on defense, I think is a little bit better than Paul George now. So Derrick Jones to the Clippers, that was definitely their backup plan, their plan B, and they got it secured. Now they just have to sign minimum contracts. Are they going to be competitive? We'll see. Probably not, but they don't even have their picks, so taking is out the option, But it's a nice signing nonetheless. And then we're going to get back down here to the Celtics, who kept both of their reserves. Well, one of them is a reserve, but Luke Cornett meant an immense lot to the Boston Celtics this year, signing a 1-year contract. We don't know how much it's for yet, but he's back. You talk about a guy that can just come in and be an immediate presence on the floor. When Porzingis was not there, it was Cornett. And when Cornett was not there, it was Porzingis, right? Those two, you must make sure that they're back. Find any way to get them back. They also re-signed Neemias Queta on a multi-year contract. So he got the multi-year, and Luke Cornett got the 1 year. So Boston just making sure that his core stays together for at least 1 to 2 more years. I want to talk about the Kevin Love thing too. He re-signed on a 2 year, $8 million deal to stay with Miami. His impact, I mean, we all know what his impact is, right? He's going to rebound, he's going to shoot, and bring that veteran leadership off the bench. Kevin Love, could he start next year in some games? Absolutely, because Kevin Love to me is a Hall of Famer. Um, one of the greatest Timberwolves of all time, one of the greatest Cavaliers of all time. He's just that good. And on the back end of his career, past his prime, he has definitely carved out a nice career on the Heat, just being that veteran leader, just being that that mentor role guy. He doesn't have to play 20 he doesn't even have to play 20, 25 minutes, 30 minutes a night like he used to, 35 minutes a night like he used to. He can just come off the bench for 15 minutes max and just shoot the rebound. Just shoot the ball, rebound the ball, pass it. Because we know Kevin Love for these long court passes. So he's back. I didn't expect him to go anywhere else, right? Omega 7 got waived by the Utah Jazz. You're just bringing on more cap space. You, you're working to get more cap. I don't know if they were working to get Mikal Bridges. I did hear that they were working to get Mikal Bridges, and that didn't happen. So, yeah. Are they going to trade Lowry? That's my biggest question with Utah. It's like a marriage. It was a marriage made in heaven some time ago, but now it's like you have all these young players on your team. You have Keontae George, Isaiah Collier, Cody Williams, Taylor Hendricks, Walker Kessler. That will be my starting five rolling out next year. You need to trade Larry Markkinen if you are the Utah Jazz and maximize his value right now, just like the Brooklyn Nets maximizing Mikal Bridges' value, just like the Portland Trailblazers need to maximize Anthony Simons and Jeremy Grant's value, just like they maximize Brogdon's value to bring in Avdia, and so on and so forth. But maximizing value via the trade market is something that teams need to do. Andre Drummond, he went back to Philly. It was a homecoming for him. 2 years, $10 million. You talk about a guy that can be a somewhat mentor to a Bana. I believe I'm pronouncing it right. Excuse me, their second round pick, who they took in the second round this year, a guy that can easily be the backup to Joel Embiid. But with the signing of Drummond, his minutes probably have now decreased. But Bana can impact a game right away. But I believe learning from two players in Embiid and Drummond, two of the best centers probably of the last decade, right? I mean, if you want to count Drummond's time on the Pistons, he was amazing, 2020 guy. So just that veteran leadership from both of them, primarily Drummond off the bench with the Dembana there, it can be very helpful and valuable to his game as well. Kevin Porter Jr. is back in the NBA. KPJ, yes, he is back with the Clippers on a 2 year veterans minimum. We don't not know the numbers at this time, but it's a 2 year veteran minimum deal. He can definitely be that scoring punch off the bench or in the starting lineup. Honestly, if you are the Los Angeles Clippers, if you are Lawrence Frank, you're Ty Lue, are you figuring out ways to maneuver around Kawhi Leonard's contract, maneuver around the eventual contract extension that you're going to have to give Zubats with the loss of Paul George heading into the new stadium? The Clippers have to think about this. Steve Ballmer, the owner, you're moving into the new stadium without Paul George, the guy that you traded so many draft picks for, and Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, for him just to leave with no championships 5 years later. They're gonna have to figure that out. I know they will. The Clippers never tend to fail us when they're trying to figure things out. But when it comes to just in the playoffs or being fully healthy, they have not showed that at all. They have not showed that at all. KCP was the big one I just mentioned on a 3 years, $66 million deal with a player option. I did not believe he was going to the Magic. I thought he was either going to the Sixers or maybe the Lakers as a dark horse candidate to bring him back, but he got his money with the Orlando Magic, a guy that can space the floor for Paulo and France and Wendell Carter Jr. and Jalen Suggs. He immediately immerses himself in that starting lineup, And now that Markel Fultz is gone, Anthony Black will get more minutes as that primary backup point guard. I would love to see this team. This team is a team you don't want to see if you're Boston or if you're Milwaukee, Philly, New York. You don't want to see it. Indiana, because they're gonna give you a challenge, right? They're going to challenge you defensively, especially now Jalen Suggs and KCP, a defensive backcourt, in my opinion. Two all defensive guys. Jalen Suggs can make an all defensive first team next year. Will he be in the running for defensive player of the year? It could be, but he'll definitely be on either one of the teams. So best believe that. KCP, primary defender, and a terrific shooter. Lethal shooter, got his shot right, and man, he did good. He did good. KCP is one of the premier knockdown shooters in the league, and he got a nice contract. It's also tradable as well, but I don't think they're going to trade KCP. They're trying to start to win now. Keyword on start to win now. Start. So I believe the Magic will make the finals. It won't be this year, but probably next year. Eric Gordon is on the Sixers. So the Sixers are literally loading up, preparing for the eventual arrival of Paul George. Now, we don't know the exact contract or the numbers for Eric Gordon, but per Shams today, he is going to sign with the Philadelphia 76ers. His shooting and veteran presence will definitely be used and needed on a team that now is looking to get over the hump and win in the Joel Embiid era. This is probably your last chance in the Joel Embiid era, but now you are transitioning into the Tyrese Maxey era with Joel Embiid being that firm second option, right? Joel Embiid is no longer the first option on Philadelphia 76ers. I think we know that. It is now Tyrese Maxey's team, and for him to possibly get the 5-year max of $205 million, it will definitely help them still probably at least have somewhere close to the mid-level exception, assuming that they sign Paul George to a 4-year max and Tyrese Maxey to a 5-year max. So all these things are possible. We will just have to see. Jonas Valanciunas signed with the Washington Wizards today. I thought that was an interesting move. It was a good and bad move. It was kind of like a bad move to me. 3 years, $30 million. If you're just signing him for veteran leadership to mentor Alex Sarr, I can see that. But because it's a very tradable contract. It's a very tradable contract, guys. And in my opinion, right, if you're talking about Jonas Valanciunas, who has elevated his game and adjusted his game to the modern day game NBA, he is somebody that you can use on a championship team. I'm surprised the Lakers have not, or they probably did go after him, but his agents and they probably discussed the deal to probably go to Washington and be a mentor to Alex Sarr, the next great big man in DC. And he could probably definitely come off the bench, or Sarr can start at the 4 because he's been pandering about starting at the 4 for some odd reason. But being 7'1" or being 7 foot even, and you want to start at the 4 position now, I don't think Kristaps Porzingis can pull that off, but that's just my personal preference. But yeah, it's a good signing nonetheless. Washington gets a veteran that they can lean on to help Alex Sarr's development, help Tristan Vucevic's development when he gets re-signed and comes back. So Washington is on the up and up. They won't be good for at least the next 2 years, though, but they're on the up and up. Mason Plumlee signed with the Phoenix Suns today on a 1-year, $3.3 million deal. So, once again, veteran leadership to the young center that they brought in from Marquette. He's going to be good right off that bench, right? And then you got Bobo. He can be a mentor to him as well. Bobo will probably start some games over Nurkic, and they can just switch the lineup, right? That's probably their best bet is just to switch the lineup and see what lineup works, right? Going into the playoffs because we know Phoenix is going to be a top 7 seed. They're going to make it into the playoffs, right? You see what lineups work best against what teams, and you go out there in the playoffs game 1 with that lineup, and let's see what you can do this year. Can Phoenix win it all this year? I thought they could win it all last year, but that wasn't the case. They got swept in the first round by Minnesota. We will definitely see what they have up their sleeve in free agency with only a mid-level exception. I guarantee you. Najee Marshall got his bag from Dallas. So he's going to the Western Conference champion Mavericks, essentially switching places with Derrick Jones Jr., but not really because he went to the Clippers, not the Pelicans. So a 3-year, $27 million deal. $3 million less than what Derrick Jones got for the Clippers. Um, I love this. If you are the Mavericks, you get a guy that's very aggressive out there. You get another guy that can guard the best player on the opposing team. That's what Derrick Jones' job was during the playoff run. Najee Marshall can definitely do that for you. And his long depth, as I'm reading my notes here, his long depth, the way he just comes after stars. We see what he can do in getting ahead of Jimmy Butler, getting ahead of D'Angelo Russell. Different players like that, he can definitely guard the best point guard or the best wing player or the best player, period, on the opposing team and distract them and disrupt them with active hands and so on and so forth. Now, it does hurt that the Pelicans did lose him, but the Pelicans are trying to win now, and they need players. They need players. They need defenders. The last two, Cade Cunningham got the rookie max extension today, 5 years, $226 million. Detroit, your time to win is now. You need to make the playoffs next season. Play-in tournament or the playoffs, one of those I will be proud of. You need to make the playoffs. If you're an eighth seed, that's fine. You're still in the playoffs, right? At least you win one or two games, force it to a game six. And to see where Detroit has come from this year and where they could possibly go next year, it would be the greatest turnaround, not only in franchise history, but it will probably be the greatest story of the greatest turnaround we've seen in recent memory. So once again, Detroit, you now have a head coach, a new head coach at that, in JB Bickerstaff. You now have Kate under contract. Make something happen. And now we have Kelly Oubre, the last one, re-signing with the Philadelphia 76ers. This was a surprise. We thought he was going to get paid somewhere else. Possibly a Detroit could go after him, and they could be their primary defender, as I wrote an article about that as well. Go check that out. Kelly Oubre is now re-signs with Philadelphia on a 2-year, $16.3 million deal. I believe it has a team option or no option. I don't know which one it is. But Kelly Oubre is back. He wants to win the championship, and he realizes that adding Paul George to this team already gives them a big three plus him. He understands that. He understands that the money is not always important, and therefore I can get my money and still be here. Now, he did probably take a massive pay cut, but he's definitely willing to do that now that Paul George is coming there. So these are all of the transactions so far. Of course, when we're asleep at night, we're probably gonna get some more stuff right. But in the morning, I will definitely update you guys and let you guys know what was what. So for now, I'm out, and let's go free agency. Free agency frenzy is here, guys. Stay live, and I'm out. Peace.